Weekend Eve. I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice. This is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. My brother with another mother, Coach 24, Darwin Penny, is out of town. He is actually in Arizona. And running the show, DJ Scatter, George Walker. Mr. Walker, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing just fine today, just fine.
Oh, that's awesome. So anyway, I just got a text message from Coach 24, and he was giving me his picks for this week, so I will be doing those later on the show. And I had joked with them, and I said, did you cause all the executives to get sick to cancel the baseball meetings that they're having down in Phoenix? And he goes, it's not my fault. So what happened was, supposedly, most of the executives, while they do their baseball, while they're doing their baseball executive meetings, which a lot of times they will try and make some trades or just try to better their teams and stuff, or maybe they just play golf. I don't know. But anyway, I guess many of the executives was having the flu, so they had to cancel the meetings that they were having, and I believe they were supposed to have them up until next week, early next week, and so. They had to cancel those. So that just tells you something about baseball a little bit. They had a really good World Series, but it was the lowest rated World Series since 2016 when the Cubs played the Indians, though that one was the best World Series rating-wise since 2016. But so now they go from the World Series to now getting the flu and ending their meetings a little bit premature. So anyway, 816-599-6893 is the phone number. If you guys want to call in, you have a question, you want to speak your piece, just give a call and we'll go from there. Later on, I'm going to talk about the Michigan scandal that's going on. I really haven't been paying attention to it too much, but enough to know what's going on with that. So, but we may get a phone call later on and help get that discussion. So right now I'm going to go into college football. So last weekend was a really good weekend for the local schools, University of Missouri, University of Kansas, and K-State. K-State was playing at Texas. Missouri was playing at Georgia, and Kansas was playing at Iowa State. And even though Iowa State does not have the credentials this year of a Georgia or a Texas, it was still one of those games that could have thrown a wrench into the University of Kansas season. Well, Kansas took care of business. They ended up winning by 7 points, and actually jumped up to 16th in the BCS standings. Missouri, which was 12th, played Georgia very well, played them tight. There was, the one thing I will say is Brady Cook still has this great ability of performing like Justin Herbert. He is a very, very good quarterback, but he always seems to make a mistake at the least appropriate time. And with that, they had a 9-point loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, Georgia has not lost a home game in 4 years, and they are the two-time defending national champs. So, but saying that, I really feel that they have a great shot at winning the rest of the games. I believe this week they have a home game with Tennessee, and then I believe they play Kentucky, and then on the road against what is it? Nope, it's Florida. They're at home against Florida, and then they play at Arkansas, and that will end the regular season. No chance for them to make it to the SEC championship game, because I don't think Georgia will lose a game up till then. But K-State goes to Texas, and they start off pretty poor. Texas was up 14-0. K-State kept nipping, pulling closer and closer. And near the end, they had a shot at winning actually, they ended up kicking a field goal to tie the score at the end of regulation. So they go into overtime. Texas kicks a field goal, and then K-State had a shot to kick the field goal, and then continue on, but they decided to go for it, which I guess a lot of schools have been doing that. And with that, they just missed out, ended up losing in overtime to Texas by 3 points. So, but saying that, all three schools are playing really well. It is the first time in a long time that you have all three schools playing well at the same time. Usually you have one of the three, 0 of the three, or 2 of the three, but rarely have you had it all three of the teams performing well. So K-State they play Baylor this week, so Baylor needs to watch out, because I really think that K-State will take it out on Baylor with the shot that they had, and then they turn around and go to Kansas the week after, and then they play at home against Iowa State. Now, Kansas, they play home against the Texas Tech Raiders, and then they have the home game against K-State, and then they play on the road at Cincinnati. So they have a really great shot at winning all three of those games. Saying that, the bowl games will be they will be playing in the bowl games, all three teams, K-State, Kansas, and Missouri. What I would really love to see is the Cotton Bowl and have the University of Kansas versus the University of Missouri. That would be the game that I am wanting, I am hoping for. I'm hoping that both schools will agree with that, and that would be a great money-making bowl game. I know that Kansas and Missouri wants to have it happen, Kansas obviously, yeah, they didn't care about basketball, but football is a different matter with them. So uh, they uh, they are wanting. I believe they're really wanting Missouri, to continue on, and so they can play each other in the bowls. And I would, like I said, I would really look forward to that. Now, we're going to go to the NFL, and so Kansas City Chiefs go to Germany. Excuse me, I've got something in my throat. I don't know if it's a froggy or whatever, but I've got something in there. So guys, just bear with me. Anyway, so they go to Germany, Frankfurt, and they win the game against Miami. They shut out Miami in the first half. That was the first time in 40 games that Miami had been shut out in the first half. Saying that in the second half, they totally struggled offensively. Now, a lot of people have been complaining about Missouri or about Kansas City and the Chiefs and their offensive prowess. The problem is that we have not needed, or I shouldn't say we, the Chiefs have not needed to score 40 or 50 points a game to keep it in the game. We have a fantastic defense, if not the best defense in the league. It's one of the top three in my mind. I know Baltimore is up there with them too, but Kansas City, and in fact, Kansas City is second in the NFL in defensive points per game with 15.2, and Baltimore is first with 15. So those two guys are they're 1 and 2, and Kansas City, even though they struggled, they got the win. They became the first NFL team to win on four different sites, different sites. So, like, they won in America, they won in Mexico, they've won in London or in England, however you want to put it, and now in Germany. And now there is talk that they could be going back again next year and playing in Germany, except for I think this time that they're going to be playing in Munich and not Frankfurt, because I've heard people say that Frankfurt is like Cincinnati. And no, we don't we don't want to play somewhere that is reminding us of Cincinnati. So but people have been complaining about the Chiefs and the offense. And so I have some stats here that I've got that I picked up. This is based on week 7 of the NFL. So it's not through this past weekend. It's through week 7 of the NFL. They have the NFL itself. So this is not just the Chiefs. This is the NFL overall. Now, this is a type of, the league has been built up for the offense. It's to make the offense, score more points. All the rule changes and everything hinders the defense and helps the offense. Well, the NFL has had the fewest points per game since 2010. They've had the fewest touchdowns scored since 2007. Now, 2007, if I'm not mistaken, I was like barely in my 40s. I was 41 years old when that happened. They're averaging 5.2 yards per play, which is the lowest since 2006. And the lowest touchdown percentage since 1999. And here is a stat that's really going to shock you. The passing yards per completion is the lowest since 1940. Yes, I will repeat that. Since 1940, The passing yards per completions is the lowest since 1940. You know what happened in 1940? My father was born in 1940. They had just getting ready to start World War II. That's how long that's been. So the offense is just not a Chiefs issue. It is an NFL issue. Now, saying that, we always complain about 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. We're not seeming to get those conversions done and to move the ball. The Chiefs are 5th in 3rd down efficiency. So there is not that bad of what's going on. It's just that the defenses now are finally starting to catch up. And with that, they will probably get better and better. I mean, the Chiefs' defense, like I said, I think it's the best defense in the NFL. They can get to the quarterback. They turn the ball over. Our cornerbacks are one of the best in the league, and the defensive line, especially now with Chris Jones coming back. And if you would say, if ands and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. You know, if Chris Jones and Travis Kelce would have played the first game against the Detroit Lions, we would possibly be 8-1 instead of 7-2. The point is, right now, if we were in the playoffs, we would be the number 1 seed. We would be sitting on a bye, just like we're doing now. We have the bye this week. We're not playing, along with Miami, Philadelphia, and the Los Angeles Rams. So it is, so it's really good to be a Chiefs fan. We need to just let them, do you want them to get better offensively? Absolutely. Patrick Mahomes even said that. He said, look, we need to get better. The defense has been carrying us, and so we are, but they will get it fixed. They're only halfway through the season, so it's all good. And we've got a phone call. So who are we speaking with?
Hello, Brian. Mr. Marvin calling. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. This is Marvin Durant, and he has a podcast called On the Record, and he is calling in. So what are we calling in for tonight, sir?
Well, you were talking about the Chiefs' defense, and certainly it is a top 5 defense. You feel that it's probably the number 1 defense in the league, and I know you're somewhat biased, but you can't count out the Cleveland Browns defense, and a lot of national media members feel that that's the number 1 defense in the league. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would agree with you there, but here's the thing. The Chiefs gave up 24 points to Denver, yes. But three of those touchdowns that they gave up, they were inside Chiefs territory. So they didn't have very far, it wasn't like they were going 75 yards or 80 yards to get those touchdowns. They only had to go half the length of the field. And here is with Cleveland. Cleveland gave up 38 points to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, saying that, the Indianapolis Colts are the only team in the NFL to have scored at least 20 points per game. Saying that, they are no juggernaut offense by any stretch of the imagination. You cannot compare them with the Chiefs or Baltimore or anybody else. So saying that, I don't think that Cleveland's defense is the best. Yes, they are up there, and they are playing they're going to Baltimore this weekend and playing the Ravens, and that is going to be a great low-scoring game. I'll tell you what, it's almost like the first team that scores 21 points is going to win the game.
Yeah, that's true, even though I did see the over-under at 44.5, but I don't know how that's going to be unless they're banking on Baltimore scoring 30 points.
Right, exactly. That's my thing. And Cleveland's run defense is much better than Seattle's run defense because Baltimore rushed for 298 yards against the Seahawks this past week. They're not rushing for 298 yards against that Cleveland defense. So,
Yes, indeed. Tonight's game, the Bears against the Panthers, it's a good night to catch up on the NBA.
Yes.
This is not going to be a good game.
Right, absolutely. So, we'll talk a little bit about the NBA because I did watch the Spurs and the Knicks last night.
Mm-hmm.
So with Carolina and Chicago, and here's this, and we won't do any picks yet. But if you stay around, I will ask for your picks for tonight too.
Yeah, I can stay around for a little bit. I'm watching the Pacers and the Bucks right now.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, from Indianapolis. Indiana's leading 13-5 right now.
Right.
8 minutes left in the first.
Oh, and then last night, Antetokounmpo gets kicked out of the game for staring at somebody. Oh my God!
Yeah, how stupid are the referees in all sports leagues now, except for hockey. Hockey is the only league that gets it right. The NFL sucks. Major League Baseball sucks. Well, at least Angel Hernandez sucks. And the NBA is certainly not getting it right.
No.
And and on not my next podcast, but an upcoming podcast, when I talk to our good friend Jan Hanley, I'm gonna see can somehow we can get his wife to be recruited by somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do some refereeing, because certainly she can do much better than these clowns.
Oh, I'm telling you what. So, I mean, we lived in an era with 70s, 80s, 90s of football, baseball, basketball, and all that. Yes, we have Don Dickinger making the missed call, but you know what? They do make mistakes, the officials. But saying that, they are getting so ridiculous on some of the calls that you can't even imagine. And here's the other thing: we didn't have instant replay in the 70s, 80s, and even in the early 90s. And they have instant replay, and they still can't get it right.
I know. And it takes 15 minutes out of a basketball game or even an NFL game to figure out what the instant replay showed, and the announcers get it right after one viewing. And I don't know what they are looking at.
I don't know either. And if I did, I guess I would be the commissioner or something like that. So
well, see, this is the problem with the competition committees in conjunction with the referees and the owners making all of these changes in some of these rules. The sad part about it, they are not consulting the players.
Right. Well,
those are the guys out there playing. They know what's a good foul and what's a bad foul, what they can tolerate.
Right, exactly. I think sometimes you need their input. Now, I'm not saying that they need to control it. They need to dictate on what should be a foul or not a foul or whatever, but you need their input because they're the ones that are playing the games. And kind of like my job, my job, my bosses and upper bosses are trying to tell me how to do a job that they've never done. So you've got these executives and people who have never played a game, maybe high school basketball, maybe little league basketball, but other than that, they have never played in a game of basketball or any of the sports, football or baseball, and they're trying to tell you how to run things. And it just...
Yeah, exactly. Now, the one thing they did do well was do away with flopping. That was a good thing. But I want to get your comments on the Lakers. They have petitioned the league saying that not enough fouls have been placed against LeBron James. When he is fouled, no one is calling him. He's not going to the free throw line enough.
Oh my gosh! See, to me that is a what is that term? Oh, whining. That's what it's called. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, yes, indeed. Now, and it's not that LeBron is the greatest free throw shooter. And so I can say, well, if he was shooting like 95% from the free throw line, okay, yeah, he needs to be fouled more. But come on.
Well,
but then again, And I want to get your thoughts on it because I understand listening to some analysts that they base a lot of this on how big and strong some of these guys are.
Well,
Now, LeBron is 6'9", 260, and, they figure, okay, he can take a foul.
right. Well,
I
so
mean, and you remember the Shaq attack
Right.
back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just hit Shaq every which way but loose, and they would never call a foul.
right, exactly. So, I think the officials were letting them play, but saying that it goes back to the fact that they can't get it right. They're also doing ticky-tack fouls.
Very much so.
Right. But saying that, they lost their last game by 34 points. It was not going to make a bit of difference if he got a few extra fouls and was shooting a couple of extra games. So, or I mean, a couple of extra more shots per game, and help them win by or lose by maybe 20 or 25 instead of losing by 34. They are 3-5. They are horrible right now. Yes, last year they started 2-10, and then they finally got their act together and did a run. I don't think this team is very good, and I seriously doubt that they will make the playoffs. And what the
well, they probably won't because, Anthony Davis, the heir apparent to LeBron, is injured once again.
Right. Well, and your best ability is availability. And if you're not available, it doesn't matter, how good or bad you are. If you can't play, because of injury or whatever, it doesn't help you and it doesn't help your team.
Yeah, not at all. And so which throws the theory of limiting LeBron's minutes throughout the year. Now he's playing more minutes. He continues to do that as the year goes on. He's going to get worn down, and there's a possible injury factor. And if that happens, well, all bets are off once again for the Lakers.
Right, and if he is going to run up all those minutes, because he does not need to be playing more than 30 minutes a game. If he is, then he is going to slowly start wearing down, and he is not going to be, and players are not going to have to worry about fouling him because he's not going to be able to perform at the level that he once was. He's been in the league for 21 years. There's only been a handful of players that have been in the league that has played for 21 years. Look, LeBron James is a great player. He is a Hall of Fame player. He is one of the top five, arguably the top five players, and he's one of the top two players in the last 20 years. Now, I'm not going to compare him to back in the 70s, because I know people are always trying to compare him and Michael Jordan, and every time that we have that debate, I always seem to win it. But he is a great player. Saying that, he has been in the league 21 years. He's trying to stay in there long enough to hopefully he can play with his son, and I believe that would be a first in the NBA, kind of like Griffey Jr. and Griffey Sr. In baseball. But saying that, he's just not, the thing of it is, Tom Brady eventually lost the father time. LeBron James is doing that right now. He's just not admitting it.
Yeah, that is true, and Father Time has beat everyone.
Yes, absolutely. So saying that, and we will move on. Now, I know that we had mentioned something about Michigan and the scandal. Yeah. So, they're talking about what the NCAA wants to do with Michigan and doing it. Well, my personal opinion is they're not going to do nothing. What it is that they have a they have a grudge with Jim Harbaugh, and if Jim Harbaugh was not the head coach of Michigan, we wouldn't even be discussing this right now. But the fact is that Jim Harbaugh's team is number 3 in the nation. They are playing very well. They are have an opportunity to play in the playoffs, which this is the last year of the 4-man playoff team. They are number 3 right now. But I really do not think that anything's going to happen. And if it does, Michigan is going to put a court action on it so fast that you wouldn't even know that they were doing anything to Jim Harbaugh.
That is true. Now, the NCAA is continuing their investigation. I understand. I understand now the pressure is being put on by the Big Ten Conference. Now, this scouting rule is an NCAA rule. It is not a per se Big Ten rule.
Right.
But there have been many coaches coming out, especially the Purdue coach, saying, "Hey, we see Michigan people around here all the time." Okay, and obviously Purdue is one of those second-tier Big Ten teams, so definitely he would like to do nothing but throw Michigan under the bus.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're absolutely right. If they do suspend Harbaugh, let's say tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon, there will be some legal action.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think anything would happen anyway, because the thing of it is, everything takes forever. You know, we're doing investigation. It is nothing will get done until after the season. But the problem is the NCAA wants it done now because they want to keep Michigan out of the championship realm. Because as I said, right now they are number 3, and.
Right.
And after they play Penn State this week, which I believe they will easily take care of them, maybe not 30 or 40-point win like they have been going this year, but they will beat Penn State. And then next week they have the Ohio State game. And you don't, and I know everybody wants to see that game. They don't want have all this junction and issues with this scandal going on. They want
Right.
they want to deal with a game.
Yeah, that's true. And the best thing for Michigan is to ball out the rest of the season.
Right.
Since Connor Stallions has resigned, he is no longer with the school, or even if he was with the school anyway, that is still a little murky right there.
Right.
But at any rate, if Michigan balls out, it's basically okay. It's a moot point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But the way I feel about it, Jim Harbaugh, of course, was suspended for the first 4 games of this year.
Right.
For some minor infractions. I can see Jim Harbaugh saying at the end of the season, let them get through the season, let them get through the college football playoffs to see wherever they land up, and him saying, "I'm done. I'm done with college football. You guys you got too much going on." I can see him resigning, and given how the Bears are playing, there's a good chance Matt Eberflus will be fired, and I can see Harbaugh going back to the NFL coaching for the Bears.
Ah, gotcha. Well, here's the thing, though. I have heard that Bill Belichick's his job is on the line. You would have thought that he was pretty untouchable with the fact of what he did the last 20 years. Now,
it's all about what can you do for me lately, and lately he hasn't done much for the Patriot faithful.
Right, and that's what I was about ready to say before I had the frog in my throat again. But here's the thing: they're going over to Germany. They're playing Indianapolis. They're 3-0 in international on international games. They are 9-1 against Indianapolis in their last 10 games. So this is a game that they really need, and if they don't, he may not. There was some speculation that he would not be back next year, and that the fact that he could end up going to somewhere like Washington or Chicago.
Well, I heard the Washington rumor. I heard the trade rumor, trading for Belichick, going to Washington.
Yeah. Well, and I've also heard some source that was pretty reliable saying that he could possibly go to Chicago. So, so,
Interesting.
So see, you hear all these um, different rumors going on, but the fact of it is, it really wasn't Bill Belichick's team as much as it was Tom Brady's team, because as soon as Tom Brady left, he has gotten progressively worse. And he was not
Yes, he has.
right. And 2000 was like his last year that he did not perform well, or their record is about the same as it was at now, which is 2-7, I believe. And so that was before Brady showed up, and now he finally got that massive quarterback, or I should say the magic quarterback, and he began winning Super Bowls. And so because they have more Super Bowls as a team, tied with Pittsburgh and Dallas, they are giving him the benefit of the doubt. But before then, he was not that great of a coach, and afterwards, he's not that great of the coach. And if you want to try to compare him with anybody, try Andy Reid. Andy Reid has won and been successful with multiple quarterbacks. Donovan McNabb, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game right now, but still, he wasn't playing at a 2-7 record, and even when he was fired at Philadelphia, it wasn't that he was or he wasn't at 500. He was just barely under 500. He wasn't like a 1-15 team, like what Bill Belichick is doing right now.
Right. Now, let me ask you this question. Now, he's the coach as well as the general manager.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he failing the most? As a head coach or as the general manager?
I think as a general manager, because he is a good defensive-minded coach. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with Bill Parcells as the defensive coordinator with him. So he and Michigan, New England won their first 3 Super Bowls based on their defense. Yes, Tom Brady was the quarterback, but all he had to do was manage, which is kind of similar to what Patrick Mahomes is doing with the team this year. He's just managing it a little bit more than trying to go out and score 40 or 50 points. Well, Tom Brady did that in his first 3 Super Bowls. Then he had to finally start stepping up and start performing a little bit more where the defense was not as good. So that,
and he didn't have all of the weapons around him other than Randy Moss, basically.
Right. That was the only time he really had a decent skilled player, because they always got retreads. Corey Dillon, Curtis Martin, players like them. I mean, Julian Edelman. Do you really consider Julian Edelman a Randy Moss type player? No, I do not.
No, not at all. He's Justin Watson at best.
Right, exactly. So with that, I would have to say the general manager, no doubt about it. And if you see through the years, Mike Holmgren was the general manager and the head coach at Seattle, and even though he did lead them to a Super Bowl, it progressively got worse, and then he was out of football. So, so Bill Belichick is no different. Tom Landry was not the general manager and head coach. Jimmy Johnson was not the head coach and general manager. And Andy Reid is not the general manager and head coach. So
right. Yeah, that is true. And that's one of the issues with the Cowboys. You have the owner as the general manager.
Right.
And we know what the Cowboys have not done for the past quarter of a century.
Right, exactly. And so even this game against Philadelphia, they had so many chances to beat Philadelphia. I mean, you always talk about football is a game of inches. and it was his foot was like 3 inches out of bounds. The catch that Jay Ferguson had. Now, let me ask you this. So, the Jay Ferguson, they said that he was not he was not in the he was not in the end zone until actually after he went down. Saying that, isn't there times where a catch is not a catch until they follow through the process? So if he should complete the process, shouldn't he have scored that touchdown?
Referees have no idea what the process is.
And
so I mean, I can't answer the question because it's so inconsistent.
Right, exactly. So on that play, they considered him down where his knee was at and everything else. But if he had another catch where he didn't complete the process, so like he landed and either bobbled the ball or whatever, then they said, well, now he didn't complete the process. So see, with that, it could go either way. And so, and you're right, if the officials really don't know, how can you blame the officials for making a good call or a bad call if they don't?
That's so true. I mean, even Tyreek's fumble in the Chiefs game,
right?
Some people felt like, well, no, that wasn't a football play. He didn't advance far enough.
Right. But he didn't. But he wasn't stopped. Well, see, that's a totally different matter because he was still in motion. He wasn't like in the grasp of a player and he could not move or he couldn't go backwards or forwards or whatever. He was still moving around and he lost the ball almost immediately afterwards. So it wasn't like.
I mean, some people would say he did make a football play, and again, goes back to define what a football play is.
Right, exactly.
And when you have about 25 different versions of what a football play is, it's like, okay, we give up.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm just like, yeah, and it's so frustrating. But the only people that are complaining are the Miami Dolphin fans.
Sure.
So, but
they're the only folks complaining. The Philly fans are still complaining about the holding call last year in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
they're still crying and whining, and come on.
I mean,
and that's the sad part about it. See, on something like that, it was clear.
Right. It was.
There was no gray area. It was clear.
Well, but the point of it was like, well, you could call it in the first quarter, but you should not call it in the fourth quarter. So now we're basing it on quarters. So what? First quarters we do this, and this, and in the fourth quarter we do this, and this. Totally different than what we do in the first quarter. Yeah, it's just so, It
is so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And the referees union, and I assume there is one for every league. They're so inconsistent. They don't talk to the media. They don't explain anything to us, which is very much a downfall for this, because if they would talk to the media, talk to the fans, and explain why you did this, why you didn't do this, maybe we could understand and kind of relax a little bit. But if you're not explaining it to nobody, we're left to our own devices in terms of our thought process.
Right. So let me ask you this question. The referees are part-time. Should there be full-time officials?
Yes, they should be.
So
I think they should be.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
They should be. And not to be discriminatory, they should be an age limit.
There you go. So
there should be an age limit, because if you're my age, I'm not running up and down a 100-yard field.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to be feeling good after that.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll be taking oxygen every 2 minutes.
Right, absolutely. You know, because I mean, look at these players. The players are faster, stronger, um,
Yes.
and they can, you know, they can run like Jaguars. You know,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
those officials can't. I don't care if you're 35 or 45. You're not in the shape that those NFL players are because
Exactly.
they are
Exactly.
considered. I mean, it's kind of like basketball. The only difference is the basketball they don't have to run as far and they can try to cheat it a little bit by looking at angles. But even then, you may get the wrong angle of seeing where it is, but then it goes back to the instant replay, and instant replay doesn't seem to do us any favors either.
No, not even in the NBA, where overall the play is a little slower, and for the most part, you do get better angles because you are closer to the players. They tend to still mess it up on instant replay. And again, as I said early on, seeing the only place that's getting it right is hockey. You very seldom hear much about the officiating in hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is nobody's watching it.
Yep. Well, that is true. That not enough people are watching it,
Right.
and the good thing is they do let them fight for 30 seconds, and they break it up, go
Right.
through the penalty box, and let it be.
Yep, absolutely. So we were supposed to take a break at halftime about 15 minutes ago. We are not going to take no break. We're just going to continue on going, and
Okay.
we are going to go into the games this week. But first, I want to do this. So Buffalo loses to Cincinnati. Right now, if the playoffs started, they are the eighth seed, which means they are not in the playoffs. So
Right.
here are the playoffs right now, as of today. Kansas City would have the bye. Baltimore is the number 2 seed. Jacksonville number 3. Miami number 4. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, in that order, all would be in from the AFC North. So all four
All
teams.
14.
Right, and that has never happened. There has been 3 teams from a division, but never 4.
That isn't that crazy?
It is. And so Buffalo, you know, and I know there are teams that have played 9 games and there are teams that have played 8 games. Yes, Buffalo has played 9 games. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati has played 8 games. So it will eventually work out. But I'm just saying as of right now. So you got the NFC, you've got Philadelphia, the only team with 1 loss, and ironically, it was to the Jets, who they had never lost to in their entire lives until this year.
Right.
And then Detroit is number 2, San Francisco is number 3. They took the so-called title back from Seattle after last week because Seattle actually would have been leading the division after San Francisco's second loss. But San Francisco 3, New Orleans is 4, Seattle is 5, Dallas 6, and Minnesota, who started off 0-3, is now 5-4. And I'm telling you what, Josh Dobbs, and I do want to talk about that at another time. What he did,
What a great story that was.
yes, and what he did on Sunday was amazing. And he's the first player in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns in back-to-back weeks with 2 different teams.
I know.
That it just doesn't happen. I mean, sometimes the NFL, you know, writers and actors cannot make up stories like this. So
Yeah, that is true. Even though a lot of people say the NFL is scripted,
yep, you know, the stuff like that is just amazing. So
it is. It is.
So we're going to get into the games. So tonight we have Carolina at Chicago. We have Carolina, who had the number 1 pick via trade from Chicago, and Chicago gets Carolina's number 1 pick. Now,
Right.
quarterbacks are 4-0 in their first matchup versus the team that traded out of the first pick. So saying that, it's saying that the Carolina Panthers would win tonight, but they there's a wide receiver that's out, and I can't remember. And then Brian Burns, their best defensive lineman, is not playing. And even though the Bears are last in the league with 10 sacks and 29% quarterback pressure percentage, I have to pick the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I picked the Bears as well, simply because Bryce Young is not having a good year. I'll put it mildly. Part of it is the fact that the offensive line is terrible. I mean, it's like having you, me, Mr. Walker, and Coach 24 blocking for him. Okay?
Right, exactly.
And so that's part of the problem. Pageant, the backup quarterback for Chicago, has played fairly well, as well as to be expected in his starts. And plus, the Bears are at home, so I'm going for the Bears in this one. But then again, I'm not going to watch it. I'll just look at the highlights on SportsCenter.
Right, exactly. So, and Coach 24 also has the Chicago Bears. We have Indianapolis versus New England in Frankfurt, same place that the Chiefs and Dolphins played last week. Indianapolis is the only team to score 20 points in every game this year. New England is 3-0 in international games and 9-1 in the last 10 games versus the Colts.
That's when the Patriots were good.
Yeah.
Patriots are not good. Gardner Minshew against Mac Jones. I'll take the stash any day of the week. I'm going Indianapolis.
Okay. Well, Coach 24 agrees with you. He's taking Indianapolis. I am going to take New England. I'm just going to do it based on the stats that I have. They're 3-0 in international games, 9-1. They showed up to beat the Buffalo Bills. So if they can beat the Buffalo Bills, I think they have a shot at beating Indianapolis, and it's virtually on a neutral field. So I have New England. Cleveland and Baltimore. Now, Cleveland allows 10.2 points per game at home, but they average 29.3 points per game on the road. This is the defense. And Baltimore has one or more sacks in the last 30 games, which is the longest streak right now and the longest in team history.
Well, it is hard to. I mean, this is a big battle because the Ravens' offense. A lot of people feel it's, at least right now, is the best in the NFL. People continue to rave about the Browns' defense.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore is at home. I'm going for Baltimore. It's hard for me to bet against Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's playing good. He has weapons now. Flowers, Beckham Jr., among others. Andrews, the tight end.
Right.
So I think this is going to be a Ravens win at home.
Absolutely. Coach 24 also picks Baltimore. I am going to go for the upset. I'm going to pick Cleveland. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and as long as it's a low-scoring game, Cleveland has a shot. And with that, I am picking Cleveland.
Let me ask you this game: more of a running attack or a passing attack for Cleveland?
Well, they have Hunt, and Ford is there too. I think what they need to do is they need to keep.
Yep, I agree. Because Watson, basically, he is a shell of his former self. I know he has to rotate the cuff situation. They say it's better, but he's not the same Watson that we saw with the Texans.
Right, exactly. Houston at Cincinnati. C.J. Stroud has the league best 14-1 touchdown interception ratio, and Cincinnati's defense allows the second most yards per play. I think it's second lowest yards per play, 5.9, and they are fourth in takeaways with 1.9.
Well, I think, first of all, C.J. Stroud right now, I think one could say he could easily be the offensive rookie of the year. Some people are placing him in the MVP consideration for a rookie on a team that traditionally has not been good. He's been very, very impressive.
Yes.
On the other hand, the Bengals, Joe Burrow is back.
Yep.
Okay, he is back. And when Joe Burrow is back, doing well, the Bengals do well. T. Higgins had a very good game last week. Jamar Chase will play. He practiced today. His back is much better, and so we anticipate him playing on Sunday. I'm going for the boys from Skyline Chili City, Cincinnati, to win this game.
All right, sounds good. Coach 24 and myself both have we all three have Cincinnati. We'll have to move this going because time is limited. So,
Okay.
San Francisco at Jacksonville. San Francisco's 1-30 when trailing by 3 points entering the fourth quarter under Kyle Shanahan, and Jacksonville is 6-2 for the first time since 1999 when they went to the AFC Championship game in their third year of existence. And you have Jacksonville?
I like Jacksonville. I really do. Brock Purdy is scheduled to be back this week, I understand.
Yep.
Deebo Samuel will be back. I know McCaffrey is ready to go. But I just have a good feeling about this Jaguar team.
Yep, absolutely. This would be a game San Francisco would supposedly get back in realm and get it going again, but we all three have Jacksonville. New Orleans at Minnesota.
This is a toss-up game because you never know what you're going to get out of New Orleans. They are up and down at best. But again, Joshua Dobbs did very well last week. And now he has at least another week to get totally familiar with the offense. I'm going with the Vikings at home.
All right. Coach 24 also has the Vikings. I'm going to have New Orleans. I just think their defense is going to do something to slow down Minnesota, and New Orleans with the win. Green Bay at Pittsburgh.
Green Bay, I got to go with the Steelers. It's something about this Steelers team coached by Mike Tomlin. They just get it done. Pinkett is not the best. George Pickens wants the ball more, and I think they'll finally get it to him. It seems that the offensive coordinator did better this week. I'm going with Green Bay. I'm going with Pittsburgh.
All right, so all three of us have got Pittsburgh. Tennessee at Tampa Bay. I have Tennessee. Coach 24 has Tennessee.
I have the Buccaneers. They're at home. I know the Titans have Will Levis. He's been very impressive, but I just think Baker Mayfield is going to bounce back.
Okay. Atlanta at Arizona. And I have Atlanta, and Coach 24 has Atlanta.
I agree with both of you. Kyler Murray's coming back, but he's going to be very rusty.
Absolutely. Detroit at the Los Angeles Chargers.
The Chargers always do Charger-type things. They're at home with no fan base. Lions will win on the road.
New York Giants at Dallas.
Cowboys.
Washington at Seattle.
The Seahawks, they need to bounce back after that trouncing by Baltimore.
The New York Jets at the Las Vegas Raiders. This is Sunday night
this is
football.
A game I may not watch. But I think the Jets are going to win on the road. I just have a feeling. I know the Raiders had a good game last week for their interim coach, Antonio Pierce, but I think the Jets are going to win.
Okay. Coach 24 and I both have Las Vegas. Monday Night Football, Denver at Buffalo.
Well, if Josh Allen doesn't shoot himself in the foot too many times, I think Buffalo will win.
Well, here's the thing. He leads the NFL with 24 offensive touchdowns, 18 passes, and 6 runs. And he leads, or he's tied with 3 others with 9 interceptions. So as many times as he scores touchdowns, he's also throwing the ball over to the other team. Saying that, I think Buffalo will win, and Josh Allen is usually very well at playing on prime time, though he did lose last week. So,
Yeah, that is true.
so Mr. Durant, I greatly appreciate you coming on the show and talking, and bringing in your picks too. So, just want to let everybody know that next week we will have a show, but it will be the last show before Thanksgiving. We will not have one in 2 weeks, and of course I will mention that next week when we have our show. So
Sounds good.
with Coach 24, Darwin Penny, my brother with another mother, Coach or DJ Scatter, George Walker, and Mr. Marvin Durant, thank you for coming in and guest hosting. I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a phenomenal football weekend. Ooh, that was perfect. Because I just saw...